The morning sun had barely risen over the quiet suburban street when Rowan Mercer balanced 2 warm loaves of bread, a paper bag of groceries, and a bottle of medicine in his arms. It was the same routine he had followed almost every day for the past 8 months. To everyone else, he looked like an ordinary single father trying to survive another difficult day. But hidden behind his tired smile was a man who had lost almost everything. Months earlier, he had walked out of the towering headquarters of the company where he had devoted 12 loyal years of his life, carrying nothing but a cardboard box after being fired, without mercy by a powerful CEO who never even bothered to hear his side of the story. Rowan thought he had left that painful chapter behind forever. Yet on this bright morning, as he knocked on his elderly neighbor's front door, he had no idea that the person about to answer it would force him to confront the past he had spent months trying to forget. Before we continue this emotional journey, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to our channel, Soulful Tales2. Your support helps us bring more heartwarming stories that remind the world that compassion still exists. Every morning began before sunrise for Rowan. After preparing breakfast and lunch for his 8-year-old daughter, Ivy, he would walk her to school before taking whatever temporary work he could find. Some days he delivered groceries. Other days he repaired fences, painted garages, or unloaded trucks at local warehouses. None of those jobs paid enough to replace the stable career he had lost. But Rowan refused to complain. His daughter had already lost her mother to illness years earlier. He refused to let her lose hope as well. Across the street lived an 81-year-old widow named Miriam Holloway. Her children had moved overseas decades ago, and age had slowly taken away her strength. Rowan first met her when he noticed her struggling to carry groceries up her front steps during a summer heat wave. Without hesitation, he rushed over to help. What began as a single act of kindness slowly became part of his daily life. He repaired loose railings, changed light bulbs, cleaned gutters, collected prescriptions, watered flowers, and listened patiently as Miriam shared stories of the husband she still missed every single day. The neighborhood often wondered why Rowan continued helping someone who could offer him nothing in return. They didn't know that every time Miriam smiled, Rowan felt as though he was honoring the memory of his own late mother, who had taught him that kindness was never measured by reward. She used to tell him that people rarely remembered your job title or your salary, but they always remembered how you made them feel. Those words echoed through Rowan's heart every time life became difficult. The day he lost his corporate career still haunted him. He had been one of the most respected operations managers at Sterling Dynamics, a rapidly growing technology company. Rowan believed loyalty mattered. He stayed late, trained new employees, and sacrificed weekends to meet impossible deadlines. Then one afternoon, an accounting mistake involving a major client exploded into a public disaster. Without a proper investigation, blame landed squarely on Rowan's shoulders. The newly appointed CEO, Adrian Caldwell, had decided swift action mattered more than fairness. Rowan was escorted from the building before he could even explain that he had repeatedly warned upper management about flaws in the financial reporting system. Within hours, 12 years of dedication disappeared. Finding another executive position proved impossible. Every interview ended with polite rejection after potential employers learned why he had left Sterling Dynamics. Bills piled up. Savings disappeared. Rowan sold his car and eventually moved into a smaller rented house. Yet somehow he still managed to smile whenever Ivy looked at him. To her, he remained the strongest man in the world. One clear autumn morning, after dropping Ivy at school and collecting Miriam's medication, Rowan noticed fresh flowers blooming in her front garden. She had asked him to plant them months earlier, because she dreamed of seeing color outside her window again. Seeing those flowers sway gently in the breeze reminded him that even neglected things could bloom if someone cared enough. He smiled as he climbed the porch steps and knocked on her blue front door. The door slowly opened. But instead of seeing Miriam's familiar silver hair and warm smile, Rowan froze. Standing before him was a sharply dressed man whose face he recognized instantly. Despite the passing months, Adrian Caldwell, the CEO who had fired him. For one endless moment, neither man spoke. Shock spread across Adrian's face as quickly as it spread across Rowan's. The expensive tailored suit, polished shoes, and confident posture suddenly seemed to disappear beneath genuine surprise. Neither had expected this meeting. Rowan instinctively tightened his grip on the grocery bag. His first thought was to turn around and leave. Every painful memory returned at once. The humiliation, the unemployment, the sleepless nights wondering how he would provide for Ivy. But before he could move, Miriam slowly appeared behind Adrian wearing her usual cheerful smile. Her expression brightened the moment she saw Rowan standing there with groceries. The elderly woman immediately welcomed him inside as though nothing unusual had happened. Rowan stepped into the hallway while Adrian silently moved aside. The atmosphere felt unbearably tense. As Rowan placed groceries on the kitchen counter, Miriam happily explained that Adrian was actually her grandson. His demanding career had kept him away for years, but after learning about her recent health problems, he had finally taken several days off to visit. Neither grandparent nor grandson had any idea they already shared a painful connection. Miriam continued speaking warmly about Rowan's kindness. She described how he never accepted money, never expected recognition, and never missed a single day of helping her. She proudly showed Adrian repaired shelves, fixed windows, freshly painted fences, and blooming flowers, explaining that Rowan had done every task himself after exhausting workdays. With every sentence, Adrian became quieter. He watched Rowan carrying groceries into the pantry with calm humility instead of resentment. For perhaps the first time in many years, Adrian saw the man behind the employee file he had once dismissed so quickly. That afternoon, Rowan quietly left after making sure Miriam had everything she needed. He expected never to return while Adrian remained there. Yet the next morning, duty overcame discomfort. He returned carrying fresh fruit and warm soup. Again, Adrian answered the door. This time, neither looked away. The silence between them carried months of regret, disappointment, and unanswered questions. Over the next several days, Adrian remained at Miriam's home. Unable to ignore Rowan's unwavering generosity, he gradually learned more about the single father from neighbors throughout the street. Everyone described Rowan with the same words: honest, dependable, humble, and endlessly kind. No one spoke about his career. They spoke about his character. One elderly neighbor recalled how Rowan shoveled snow from every driveway after winter storms without charging anyone. Another family explained how he secretly repaired a broken wheelchair ramp for a disabled veteran during one weekend. A local teacher praised how Rowan volunteered during school events despite juggling multiple jobs. The stories refused to match the image Adrian had created months earlier. Confused, he finally requested Rowan meet him at a nearby community park one bright afternoon. There, beneath tall maple trees glowing with golden leaves, Rowan calmly explained everything that had happened before his dismissal. He described the accounting reports he had submitted, the ignored warnings, and the rushed investigation that never allowed him to defend himself. He spoke without bitterness. That surprised Adrian most. Instead of blaming others, Rowan simply accepted that life sometimes became unfair. Adrian returned to company headquarters determined to uncover the truth. After ordering an independent internal review, investigators discovered archived emails proving Rowan had repeatedly reported the software errors responsible for the financial disaster. Senior executives had ignored those warnings while focusing on quarterly profits. The responsibility had never belonged to Rowan. Weeks later, the board received the final report. Every conclusion pointed toward one painful reality. An innocent employee had been sacrificed to protect the company's reputation. Adrian spent several sleepless nights reflecting on his decisions. For years, he believed strong leadership meant making fast decisions. Now he realized true leadership required patience, humility, and the courage to admit mistakes. He returned once again to Miriam's home carrying no briefcase, no assistance, and no corporate confidence, only honesty. He found Rowan replacing a loose porch railing before winter arrived. Adrian sincerely apologized for the damage his decision had caused. He admitted his failure to investigate properly and accepted full responsibility. More importantly, he offered Rowan his previous position back, along with back pay, compensation, and authority to lead. Major organizational reforms focused on fairness and employee protection. Rowan remained silent for several moments. Money could repair finances. Titles could rebuild careers. But trust required something much deeper. Instead of answering immediately, Rowan asked for several days to think. During that time, he spoke with Ivy, who reminded him of something beautiful. She told her father that forgiving someone didn't erase the past. It simply meant refusing to let pain control the future. Those simple words carried wisdom beyond her years. When Rowan finally accepted the offer, he did so under one condition. Every employee, regardless of position, deserved the opportunity to explain their side before any life-changing decision. Adrian agreed without hesitation. Months later, Sterling Dynamics looked very different. New policies protected employees. Anonymous reporting systems encouraged honesty. Managers received leadership training centered on compassion rather than fear. Rowan never sought revenge. Instead, he helped build a workplace where no one else would experience what he had endured. Miriam proudly watched both men transform through forgiveness. She often smiled while sitting beside the same flower garden Rowan had planted, knowing that simple acts of kindness had quietly healed wounds that power and success never could. The greatest lesson wasn't that Rowan regained his career. It was that he never allowed hardship to steal his compassion. Even during his darkest season, he continued helping someone who could never repay him. Ironically, that kindness became the very reason justice finally found its way back into his life. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your loved ones, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Soulful Tales. 2. Your support encourages us to continue sharing stories that inspire hope, forgiveness, and compassion. A special request, before this story ends, comment below with "Kindness always comes back." We'd love to know where you're watching from and what this story meant to you. As the winter sun slowly dipped below the horizon, Rowan walked home holding Ivy's hand while the neighborhood glowed with warm, golden light. Across the street, Miriam waved happily from her porch, her smile brighter than ever. Rowan looked at his daughter and realized that true success had never been found in office buildings, executive titles, or impressive salaries. It had always lived inside the quiet choices people made every day, the decision to help when no one was watching, to forgive when bitterness felt easier, and to keep believing that goodness still mattered. In the end, the door that reopened his future was never unlocked by power or wealth. It was opened by kindness, patiently given without expecting anything in return, proving that sometimes the smallest acts create the greatest miracles.